lit. I was gonna wait for a few people to sneak on in.
It's all good. You can take their time.
I absolutely love
because of me, because I couldn't figure this out.
I absolutely love your Copic setup. Is that like something that they sell that you can like insert?
They get these. Well, I found them at Dick Blick out here. They're like a little box that hold like 25, and I have 6 of these. I need more because I have markers laying on my desk that I don't have anywhere to put. Because I have these, and then I have like another, like one of those big art bins that have like all my Prisma markers in it.
Oh boy!
So I keep them. But I need a bigger desk because I'm running out of room.
If you could have like the ultimate desk, would it be like 6 feet, 7 feet wide, and just like all lined up?
Yeah, it would.
Prismas?
I would want them. I would want the desk at an angle because it's easier because I have a bad habit of like slouching when I draw. So I want it to be where they can like sit from the wall, I guess. I don't know. You see like the Copic setups where they have them like against the wall, stacked up like you would see when you buy them in the store. Like I would like it like that because
they do sell those, like the individual or like boxes that can bloop 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 in.
Yeah. That's what I need one of those. And more desk space because.
Hey, we got a few people in. Happy Drawventure, everyone! I am Tori, your host, and we have a lovely, amazing, super talented special guest with us today, Nuri Durr. Give him a good welcome. He is super kind enough today to join us for Saturday. Come on, Saturday, most of us sleep in, and but he has given up his time to bless us with his wisdom. In case you haven't met Nuri before, definitely do check out his artwork on ActionHankBeard on Instagram, Tumblr, and now Twitter, right?
Yes.
Awesome. And you do have a shop, and it's still ActionHankBeard.
It's my name now. It's Nuri Durr at Big Cartel.
I like that. Yeah, such a cool name. Where's like the origins of that? I've been always curious.
ActionHankBeard?
Oh, Nuri Durr.
Oh, Nuri. Nuri is an Arabic name. That's the origin of the name.
That's just too cool.
It's from an Arabic verse in the Quran called Al-Nur or something like that, where it basically means light. So Nuri is like a variation on that.
Wow, well, you certainly do breathe life into your illustrations. Like, they're just phenomenal. All right, let's see. Just to give you guys heads up, for those who are watching our live stream right now, on Google Hangout, you're more than welcome to submit a question for the wonderful Nuri to answer. And if you're viewing this live stream on YouTube, you're more than welcome to drop a question in the comment. Yeah, I said that right. So I'll definitely keep an eye out for that. So Nuri, tell us about yourself. How did you start getting into Copics?
Okay, I started getting into Copics, I would say around 2011. I really started to like actually use them, but I've had them as far back as high school. I bought Copics because back when I used to be on DeviantArt heavy, I used to see what other people was doing with it, and I was like, I want to try them, but I didn't know how to use them. So I had them for years before I actually started to like use them. And then in 2011, I would say there was an artist. His name is Ron Atkins, and he's great. You should check him out. And he really made me want to get into using markers because of the way he used them. And so from there, I just started to like really take the time to learn how to use them. And I will say since then, that's pretty much how I've done the majority of all my illustrations, was just all with marker.
The secret is out. Do you have some of your artwork so that you can give the audience a quick view, just so we can piece the words with the visuals?
Let me find a book or something. Okay, hold on.
Your sketchbook is such a true treat to go through. Quick view, just so we can piece that.
I'll find one. Hold on 1 second. All right, here we go. This is an old book from last year. Okay, I don't know how well people can see this, but this is from last year. This is Dark Side. He's from DC Comics, Justice League. Just some old Copic Prismacolor stuff. Some of it people have seen. Old Dragon Ball, Death. And some of these are on Instagram. Like I know I posted this to Instagram. This is
I definitely love those ones a lot. Those are cool.
And really just trying to figure out like, just trying to understand how the markers work and how they work with different papers. Because this is an render sketchbook, and I've since stopped using render paper.
Yeah, and kind of interesting. The second you stop using render paper, I started using render paper. Yeah. It's like you moved on to greater and better things.
But I realized the problem with it. They advertise render paper as no show, which is kind of true, but it's not really true because it's still like, now that this book is kind of old. Like for instance, I don't know if you can see it. I don't know how well you can see it here, but on this sketch of Stabler and Olivia, it's yellow on the other side.
That's odd. And
it does that, like, no matter what the colors are, this was on the opposite side, this Dragon Ball sketch.
Yeah.
And so fire from Goku was what made it bleed, and it's kind of like iffy, you know. And then on top of that, it's hard to kind of blend, and it's hard to like keep my line work, because you know I don't generally use line work when I use my colors, so it's hard to keep the colors from like bleeding and feathering out. And another thing is you can't do anything but mark on this paper, because if you try anything like ink or paint, it's gonna start to like crumble up on you. So
it definitely does that weird like gritty, papery coming off effect if you ever put like water, and it's just sad. It's a little sad because you want to like mix the mediums.
It's bad, man. Especially with Copic, because Copic already has that thing where it dries with that grainy texture, and it seems like the newspaper is even more apparent. But I mean, it's not that it's that bad. I would still use it for like to carry around, simply because I like to draw on both sides of the sketchbook. So like with this is like two link drawings I did. One.
That's actually how I first met you, was through that piece.
Yeah, this old one, and then there's another one on the opposite side.
Too cool. Yeah, it's nice to have like you can use every page. That's a huge plus.
Yeah, and that's, you know, for me, I like to try to make the most of a sketchbook, and that's the good thing about it that I would say. If you're not trying to make it finished, you know. But in a book like this, where it's not even wire bound, it's not a good idea to try to do nothing finish it in any way.
Yeah.
So
it's good. It's very good for practice. Yeah. So what are you using right now instead of the render paper?
I started using the Kanzen paper, and like I started using this, which is like the manga illustration paper.
Yeah.
And just in general, like Kanzen, like this is like Bristol. I have this book here too.
I love that pad. Yeah,
it's good because it's a pad. You can take the paper out, and it's a heavyweight paper, so it'll take the ink nicely, and you can move it around, and it's good for building up layers. But it's not so heavy that it'll draw out your markers, because like a thick paper like watercolor paper, it looks nice, but it'll draw your markers out really quickly. So.
Yeah.
I ask that question a lot, what kind of paper that you use. And I use more than one, but like that's my favorite. And it's because it's like, I think it's the most versatile when you talk about using markers. So
if you were to use another paper, is it because you're looking for a particular characteristic in a piece you're trying to do?
Yes, because some papers are, for me at least, they're not as good as others. And like render is a good example of that. Like when it comes to the way that I use markers especially, I try to use it in the way that they look like almost cell shaded, like you would see in anime. So I try to cover, you know, the shapes as evenly as possible when I'm coloring. And it's hard to do that with something like render, especially when you get around the edges, because it starts to get like bleedy. And even if like you're precise, it's still hard. And so with something like the Kanzen paper where it's thicker, it absorbs the ink, I think, a little bit more evenly and cleanly. So when you get to the edge, it doesn't start to like run out and bleed out.
Trick. Just gotta get heavier paper so it doesn't bleed.
Yeah.
That's cool. Is there any particular challenges that you face when you're doing an illustration? Like I see that you will do like a piece like a couple times.
Yeah, I do it. Like if it's something that I don't know if I have any examples on hand, but last year I did those Mario portraits. And like I remember those in particular. I was trying to like find a particular look. And so I go through a lot of like drafts, I guess you could call them that, where I just try to figure out how I want to approach it. And then I go to the actual drawing where I try to execute it. But sometimes I mess up, and like if you go too far, there's really no saving it. You have to start over. For me at least, I'm not above starting over like 3-4 times if I need to. So yeah, I mean, some people they kind of fear messing up on a drawing, but for me, it's like, okay, I know what I did that I messed up this time. So when I do it again, I know exactly what I need to do to not do it again. And then when you do that over and over again, it kind of like, it decreases the amount of times that you'll mess up in the future. I like to think.
Amazing. Absolutely. Because not to mention it in that way, it's like you're now watching out for each and one of those mistakes. Like you're making sure you acknowledge it rather than like, oh, I did it again. It hurts. That's
like a good example I would say is, okay, I have this thing where I'm trying to like build up my shadows, and with darker colors, they tend to like, if you layer them up too much, they start to get this waxy like build up.
Yeah.
And it happens faster for some colors. I don't really understand why that works, but it does it sometimes. And like, I've messed up enough times doing that to know like, okay, I can only probably hit this spot maybe 2 times before it starts to get waxy. And I kind of, have to keep that in the back of my mind when I'm doing my shadows, or if I'm doing something that's particularly dark and I know certain colors that's giving me problems. That's when it comes to something like that, I keep that in mind. But
is it because of the Copic marker, the carrier, and the pigmentation? The carrier just starts becoming on top of each other too much. It just makes it that weird.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. It's kind of like, if you ever use colored pencil, it's kind of like that, where, because those are wax-based pencils, and it kind of gets waxy the more and more they start to build up, and it gets kind of hard and like muddy. So it's like that with markers too, I guess, after a while. It's not so much with the lighter colors, it's really the darker colors that does it. And I think it's because the darker colors are just like, I guess, more pigmented. I don't know what it is, honestly, but it's one of those things that I just have to be mindful.
You definitely, how would you say, explored Copic markers like thoroughly to see the ins and outs. And that's definitely that we should all take away, that we need to completely embrace the medium and explore it for what it is. Is there any other mediums that you're interested in trying out?
Oh, I'm painting a little bit, like particularly gouache, because I like
the acrylic ones I saw.
Yeah, so I mean, that's something that's challenging for me, because I've done a little painting, but I'm not that comfortable with it, and it's because I don't have the control that I'm used to with something like a marker. But I want to start doing more, and I want to start working larger, and I think that it's only practical to use paint to do it and not markers, especially if I want to do it on something like a canvas. It's not happening with a marker. So I'm slowly getting into that. But yeah, I really like I like the matte finish that gouache has.
Yeah, they're definitely pretty. It's like I really do love the colors that are available in acrylic gouaches. I'm absolutely terrible at using them. It's a tough. We actually do have a question, and it's from Bianca, and it is, how do you guys get so good at anatomy, especially hands? Did you take any like figure classes while you were in college?
That's not necessarily figure classes, but okay, I was in college. I went to Georgia State University, and I was an art major, so I took drawing classes. And part of that is you do some figure drawing. Sometimes you have a model come in and you draw, and people move around the room, they move around the light source, and they draw from any perspective, any angle. But that's one way. That's the best way. If you're trying to get better at anatomy, you want to draw from life as much as possible, even if it's just a sketch. And a good idea is to like take a sketchbook with you, maybe like to a place where people sit down a lot, like a diner or something, or a restaurant, because people are just sitting there. If you want to just see a variety of different people and have time to actually sketch them before they get up and leave. Or you could do like, if you have any family, friends, siblings, you can draw them, or you can take a class. And that's if you want to go out and do it. There's ways to do it from home. There's like, Just apps even they have like pose apps and things where you can have pictures of people from different angles and just to work on your anatomy. And that's one way to do it from like the comfort of your home, or if you just want to find pictures on the internet, stock photos, whatever. But in any case, you just have to do it like over and over again. You have to. It's the repetition that like will commit it to your memory, and that's how you start to like pull things from your like mental library, as opposed to having to always search for a reference for every little thing.
Beautiful.
So,
yeah, that is an excellent explanation. What is your favorite way when it comes to learning a new technique, like anatomy or color? Is it just being disciplined and trying and just going at it, or is there a certain
well,
you?
I like to look at examples and things like real life and nature and stuff. So like, okay, for instance, if I'm trying to do like a convincing background, like landscape or something, then I'll look at photos. And there's no shortage of that on something like Tumblr or something. So you can always find something. And I'll just keep doing something like that over and over again to where I start to, I get to a point where like in my head, I can think like, okay, I want this a mountain range.
I'm sorry, I blipped.
What
Hello?
happened? Can you hear
Okay,
me?
we're back. Yeah, I can hear
Oh.
you. For some reason, I got blipped out, and it was weird. Super weird.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much, Bianca, for your question. And if you guys want to add any more questions, feel free to drop it in the YouTube comments or in Google Hangout, whichever floats your boat. Indeed. So what is the next step in your art that you are currently tackling?
I'm trying to, I'm just trying to improve overall in terms of like character development. I'm developing my own characters right now because I'm trying to tell a story, make my own graphic novel or whatever. And so
sneak peeks a little bit about it.
Some of it you've actually already seen, but I can show you something. Okay, you're familiar with this character, I'm pretty sure, because I've posted this guy.
Oh.
And his name is Nuri, and he's part of a bigger story with a lot of different characters.
I didn't. Oh, that's too cool. I didn't put two and two together.
Yeah, he's like the first of many that I've shown. There's a few others that I've shown, but I'm like in the process of like trying to redesign them and trying to like come up with like unique character designs and backstories and all that other stuff. Like here's another character based on my girlfriend Mia. And so he's the creator of Megabit. She's like an engineer. And so like when I'm not really posting that much to Instagram, I'm like trying to figure out things like
those are truly delicious. I love it. I can't wait to see it. See more.
It'll be a lot more. It'll be a lot more in the future. And
is this
I remember
a side project, or is it like something you're gonna want to full throttle put all your effort into?
I would like to put all my effort into it. And like what I would like to do ideally is I would like to do an entire like graphic novel, but I want to hand illustrate it with Copic markers.
Yeah, I have that same dream because I don't want to digitally color it. Like there's something about traditional coloring, it's delicious.
Though I have been learning how to do stuff digitally, like because that's something that I do need to know. But when it comes to this, I want to do it, and then I'll probably just like I won't hand letter it, but I'll probably put the speech bubbles and stuff in through Photoshop, I guess, or something. But I would like the book to be drawn and illustrated by hand, and that would be like for me that would be like the appeal of it, is to have these characters in it, and it all be done traditionally. Because nowadays everything is done digitally. Yeah,
I can already see in the future your page is fully colored, but without the text, it's just gonna be like it's gonna be a collector's item for sure.
And it's fun, I just like the feeling of working in traditional like mediums and stuff. So, but that's what I work on, like outside of like the usual stuff that people see, the Mega Man and Mario sketches and things that people like to see from me all the time.
We have an question.
Okay.
I'm sorry to cut you off. This is from Yanni. When can we give you all of our money on Kickstarter for this graphic novel?
Kickstarter is okay. I'll consider things like Kickstarter, but I won't do it until I have everything lined up so people know exactly what they're getting. Because sometimes people can do a Kickstarter or something and it's like they don't really have everything ready to go. You know what I mean?
And that's just
I don't know if you're familiar with like, I don't know if you're familiar with Keiji Inafune, the creator of Mega Man, but he's done like, he has a Kickstarter going on for like 2 games that are like based on Mega Man. And the problem with him is that he pretty much have all these backers backing him, but he hasn't given any information on what it is that people are backing. So people are kind of getting a little bit like irritated because it's like, you keep asking for more and more money for different things, but you don't really have anything to show us. And even though people know him as the guy who made Mega Man, that's not really an excuse to kind of leave people hanging with something like a Kickstarter. Even with the game Mighty Number 9 that some people are familiar with, it's supposed to be released like back in April, I think. And it's been pushed back to like, I think next year. So yeah, I just don't feel like it's good to kind of have like, because it kind of comes down to like, oh, I'm doing Kickstarter and you know me as the guy who did this one thing. And so that should be enough for you to invest in my vision or whatever. And I don't think that's a good idea because that's not enough to like, people should know what they're getting. People should get something that they're putting their money into. So, but I'm not opposed to the idea of Kickstarter. No, I just want to make sure I have everything. And that's the reason why I'm trying to like make sure I develop these characters, this story. So, and slowly introduce people to them so they can get behind the idea. So in time, people will be like, oh, okay, I like this. This is something that I would get behind, you know?
Yeah, for sure. What about Patreon? Would you do like funding as you go? So then like that way they do get to see all behind details?
Yes, I would do Patreon. And I've given thought to that too. I just haven't really followed up on it yet. But I see a lot of artists doing it lately, and I think that it's a good idea because, I mean, you're sharing what you do with the world, and you don't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? People like to see what you do, but it's also good for people to support you along the way to let you continue doing what you need to do. Because it's like, I know, like for you, this is like your full-time job. This is my full-time job. So.
And so we can shut the door or not, or you can have it wide open. And actually, that leads to the next question. This is also from Bianca again.
Okay.
How did you guys market yourself online and offline to gain a following, if that makes any sense?
That makes sense. And the perfect answer. Okay. The first thing I did, because I had an Instagram for a minute, and I posted my art, but I didn't always post my art exclusively. Now I try to mainly post my art. So when people come to my page, they know exactly what it is they're going to see from me. It's not like you see my art and then a bunch of stupid memes and a bunch of stupid, posts about nothing that's unrelated. Even my personal life, I don't post too much of it because I feel like it distracts from what I want my Instagram to be, which is like to basically curate my art, give people something to see. So you want to post art, you want to post good art, and you want to post it consistently. You don't want to just be, because people forget about it. You know what I'm saying? I know people who post every now and then, and they're good artists, but they don't really have the following that they probably should have because they just don't use it that frequently. And that's fine if that's what they want. But if you're trying to build a following, then you have to like keep that in mind. Keep posting on at least a somewhat daily basis, and try to make the majority of that stuff like your art, if that's what you want people to see. And I would say I would even go as far as saying making your profile picture something that's art, like a piece of your art.
I always love your new profile pictures because it's always something like, oh man, that's so good, Nuri, so good.
You want people to see immediately like, oh, this is a drawing, so they already, decide in their head like, oh, this person is probably an artist. And then, of course, set your bio up, give people a way to contact you, give them a way to find you on other things, like if you're on Tumblr, or if you're on Twitter or whatever, or give them a reliable email. And I would say, since you're starting out, if you don't have a big following, I would say engage with your followers. Talk to them. Don't just, if they say something to you, respond, because like it's harder to do it when you get a big following. When you get like if I post a new drawing now, my likes will start to blow up to the point where it's hard for me to see most of the things that people say. If it's on the old drawing especially, I'm not going to see it. And people do that a lot. Like I'll post a new drawing and they'll go back to some old drawings and comment on them and ask questions. It's just like, I probably won't see it unless I just take the time to look through my old pictures for whatever reason.
And there's a lot to go through.
It's a lot, man. It's a lot. And it only gets to be more and more, the more followers you get over time.
Do you sometimes wish you had you had the time to respond to all those comments? I know it's really fast paced and it's really hard to catch up. But if there was a way, would you ever outsource it, or just out of curiosity?
Well, I try my best to respond to legit questions and compliments. So if you say you like this or you like that, that's a good job. I try to at least say thank you. And I'll try to add a bunch of people at the same time and just be like, hey, thanks. Because you took the time to say my heart and comment. Or if you ask a good question that I feel like it's a legit question that I don't have to answer a million times over and over again, then I'll try to answer that too as well. But of course you don't always get them all.
Come again?
It's just a lot. I said you won't always get them all because it's just a lot,
It is. So. I always feel super, super guilty when I can't get all back to everyone's comment because they took the time out of their day to leave a comment, leave a compliment, and it's a nice motivating. I wish I could send back all the love to them. But to add on to what Nuri said about if you're trying to get a following and your following is small at the moment, I think it's more important to appreciate the followers that you have now, because it doesn't matter if you have 100,000 followers, if none of those followers are engaging with you, that number doesn't matter at all. The number doesn't matter to begin with. So if you have 10 followers, cherish them. Just give them the world. And when you give them the world, they want to show other people man, this person is just so amazing. So keep that in mind.
That's how you build an organic following. Because I know a lot of people who have a big following, but they don't really have any interaction from the people that follow them. And I don't know if it's because the people who follow figure they don't ever respond, so they don't bother to say anything, or it's just they bought their followers and not real people. But I don't know.
I don't know how people do that. I'm so curious. Those are who magically just pop up art on the internet and then they get 200 comments that they never respond once, and their caption is "girl," and I'm okay. I want to know more.
People already have this a lot of people already have this perception that we're more than human because of the art that we do. And I don't really like that. And I like to feel I'm not any better than you. I just draw. So I try to let people know hey, I had to take the time out to learn how to do this like anybody else would. And I like to respond. So
I'm so glad you're doing that, because you're absolutely right. We're just like everyone else. It's just we draw and we just want to share it and people.
Just like to draw.
What is your, how would you say, have you ever encountered any difficulties via social media?
You mean in terms of people?
I mean have you found yourself how would you say, just trying to managing it? Tips for people if they ever receive a really nasty message, what are some good ways that they can, arm themselves and be they can get through it? Because there's some trolls out there that like to drop mean comments, and it's not cool.
But you know what they say about trolls, you're not supposed to feed trolls. And I mean that's true in any sense, because I don't really have trolls. But I know a lot of people they do. And it's because they breathe life into them. There's a lot of people who they say stuff to get a reaction out of you. And I generally don't give people that type of reaction. And I mean, one of the things about when you start to build that following is that if somebody says something out of line, your following will address it for you. You don't,
that is true.
Don't have to. It gets. I've been in that where I had to remove stuff too, but for the most part, I don't really have that problem. I mean, when it comes to social media, it can be more tedious than anything because you're trying to keep up with all of these different comments and questions, and like, you know, just, it's not that it's the bad thing, it's just that it can take a lot of time if you're trying to address every single thing that every person asks you. So that's why I made a Periscope, to try to give people a way to see things like, how do I draw and how do I color with markers and stuff, because it's like, it's easier to show it than to say it. And over time, that kind of like will make those questions like diffuse, I guess. You won't get as much of that. So
Your
I don't know,
Periscope is the same as ActionHankBeard, right?
it's just Action Hank on Periscope.
Everyone
Yeah.
follow him on Periscope, because literally I just watching him just create with Copics, you just learn so much, like 10 times way more than I could ever like share with you guys. He's just amazing. So definitely be following him, so the next time he does pop up on Periscope, watch it. You have to watch it. It's so good. So
Yes, I will make an announcement to let people know in advance. And there's a lot of people on Periscope that you should be following, because I think that as artists, we're all visual learners anyway, and it's cool to explain something to somebody, but it doesn't compare to what you see it demonstrated. And being able to ask people questions in real time is also like a plus. So I would definitely, you know, follow some people on Periscope. You can follow Tori, you can follow me. There's a lot of people. Eric.
I love Eric. He just takes.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites.
For sure.
There's a lot of guys. Yeah, you just have to get on there.
I'm going to pull this question from the YouTube channel. This is from Taisha, and her question is, do you have any tips or cool stuff to believe that your art is good and stay creative? By the way, I love both of your works.
Wait, say that again. Do I have any tips that I missed the last part?
Oh, any tips or cool stuff?
In terms of in general?
Yeah, like just things that I'm assuming, like motivational posters to believe that your art is good and stay, like, pep talks. I do a lot of pep talks.
Okay. The best advice that I can give anybody is to not compare yourself and your rate of growth to anybody else. And that just means don't see somebody else that's really, they're really good at what they do and compare yourself to them, because you automatically just feel like what you're doing is like worthless. It's like a bad, like, if anything, look at somebody else and feel like if they did it, I can do that too, because they had to learn it. And you got to understand that it doesn't come overnight. It's not something that I've learned to do in a matter of like days, weeks, or months even. Like, this is like years of practice. And it may not necessarily take everybody years to learn to do what I do. Some people learn at a faster rate than others, because everybody's brain interprets information differently. So I would just say to keep that in mind. That's probably the most important thing, because I know a lot of people who, growing up especially, they were into art, they were into drawing, and they probably got discouraged because either they got older and they got influenced by other things, or they probably felt like they would never be as good as this artist or that person. So they just leave it alone. And I think that like you like defeat yourself before you even see how good you could be at it. So
absolutely beautiful.
I mean, I show people some of my old stuff. Like, I don't know if it's like, if you go on my Instagram far back enough, you can see some of my old stuff, and it's bad. It's like, it's not good at all. But
after this, I'm totally doing that. I'm gonna leave a bunch of comments. Let's see.
You have to enjoy the thing. You have to enjoy it. You have to enjoy what you do. Like, I've always liked to draw. So even when I wasn't good at drawing, I was drawing anyway, because it was just fun, and draw things that you like to draw. Don't try to draw things that, you don't find enjoyable, because you might feel like it's a chore. But you want to always be constantly challenging yourself. You want to be always trying to do something new to push yourself, so you don't get so you don't stagnate. But keep it in like the realm of what you like to do, and then you'll keep coming back to it. You won't feel like it's a chore. So I think that's probably the best advice I give to anybody, especially if you're just starting out.
Awesome. You have blessed us with your words of wisdom. The next question is from Nickster. How do you design your characters? Like, do you use reference or do you do it off the top of your head? Especially in particular with the comic that you're working on.
Okay. I design characters based on, it's like a particular aesthetic that I like shoot for when it comes to stuff like that. And like with these characters that I'm designing for myself, I want the characters to look in line. I'm trying to simplify the style. I don't want it to be too busy, too complex. And I guess a good example would be something like Steven Universe, which is like, I would say that's probably a big influence lately because I watch a lot of that. I've been enjoying that show.
I'm so jealous. I want to watch.
Like I like the new shows on Cartoon, like Clarence and Regular Show, and I'm not so much on Adventure Time as other people, but I do like Steven Universe, and like that particular like style and aesthetic that they have with those characters, where it's simple but it's effective. That's what I think about. And then like when I'm thinking about designing my characters, I'm thinking about them like not just I want to make a cool looking character, but I'm thinking about like their personality and their function as a character within this world that I'm trying to build. So I can start with Megabit, for instance. Megabit his design is inspired by like video game consoles from the 80s and computers like the Commodore 64. That's what his design, and like toys. Like I don't know if you remember Teddy Ruxpin, but like things like that is what I think about when I was designing these characters, because the story itself starts in the 80s. So I want to like pull things from those like that era. And so yeah, it's all these things. It's like your interests. It's things that you just see over time. I watch a lot of movies and I read up on a lot of things. Like if I'm trying to tell a story about a particular thing, I want to be knowledgeable in that area about it, just so I can know what I'm talking about at least. So all of these things going into designing the characters, and it's never just as simple as I'm gonna draw a cool guy with some cool hair and a sword. You know what I'm saying? It's never just that simple. You can, but it'll kind of probably feel like it's not much to him other than that, you know? So think about that stuff if you're designing a character. Think about, a good thing. This is a good thing that I try to tell people that I learned recently is that all good character designs have a recognizable silhouette. So if you've seen a silhouette of SpongeBob, Sonic, Mario, Batman, Mordecai and Rigby, you immediately recognize those characters for who they are because of their shapes. And also, if you look at their color palette, you can recognize them for who they are too. You ever see those pixelated images? It's just like a block, but you recognize the blocks as like The Simpsons.
I absolutely love it.
Yeah, but that's how character design. That's your brain letting you know, like, hey, this is Bart and this is Marge and Homer, and like you see it just because you know those characters and those colors, you know. So all of these things like play a factor.
Indeed. Oh, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And we have another awesome question from Yanni. And I'm actually curious about this too. What's the best Mega Man game? And which Mega Man character is the most enjoyable for you to draw? And what?
That's okay. Are we talking about Mega Man Classic or Mega Man X? Because
Or
are we just talking about the whole series?
The whole shebang.
I'm going to say Mega Man X4 because it's everything about the original Mega Man games that I like, but it's like expanded on. And so Mega Man X4 is my favorite, and I probably spent the most hours playing that one. And I like X more than I like Zero. And that I just did this drawing recently. I just released a print of it or whatever. And that was X and Zero and their armors from that game. And that was inspired by that game because it was a big part of my childhood. I like all the games, but X4 is my favorite. And I like X. I like X because the character himself represents unlimited potential. That's what the X means in his name. So, yeah, I would say X.
Man, thank you so much.
PlayStation 4, I think it's on the PSN network or whatever.
I want to go play games one day. Maybe I'm going to try sneaking in games in between travels to conventions. Yep, that's how I'm going to do it from now on. I love it. I'm going to check the YouTube comments again, just in case for anyone who's dropping in, because I know we just like tripled in the audience. You're more than welcome to submit a question either in the YouTube comments or on Google Hangout in the Ask box, whichever you prefer. We'll be more than happy to answer any of them. And let's see. Oh, okay. This is I am D. Freeman. And the question is, how important would you say keeping your workspace organized is?
I think that comes down to preference. I try to keep my, before I do anything, I try to keep my workplace organized and neat so I know where everything is before I start. But once I start working, everything is like, it's a mess. Like,
yeah.
my desk was like I had to try to straighten it up. But yeah, like when I start working, like it's stuff everywhere. And it'll stay that way until I'm done, until I put everything back where it is. And it's just because it's like, you know, when you're in the process of doing something, I'm not necessarily thinking about keeping it clean. I'm just thinking about where the color is that I need or whatever. I don't know. I mean, some people probably can't work that way, but for me, that's pretty much how I work. I've seen pictures of like different manga artists. I've seen pictures of like their desks, and it was talking about the guy, I forget the names, but the guy behind One Piece, and then Toriyama, Dragon Ball, and Naruto, and just like the differences between their workspace and their desks, and it was just like so messy. I forget where, I think I saw it on Tumblr or something, but it was just basically showing like, you know, everybody has a different workspace. And it was pretty cool to see it. But yeah, I mean, this is really all comes down to your personal preference.
I think I totally saw that from your Tumblr, because you might have reblogged that. In case you guys haven't followed us on Tumblr yet, Nuri reblogs the coolest stuff ever. And most of the time it's like, man, I really like this post. I'm like, who's it from? I'm like, oh, it's Nuri. Of course it's from Nuri. He does on Tumblr. They're always inspirational. They're always some artistic tip and help, and it's just like some good old motivator. Or it's like, oh, that's a really interesting perspective. Just saying, it's all around good curated Tumblr. Thank you, good sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so to add on to Nuri, I'm a freak when it comes to my workspace. I like it organized. It helps me focus, and same as Nuri. Markers are everywhere once I get going, but at the end of each drawing, they always go back. It's kind of like cleaning the slate for a new drawing. So yeah, it's therapy. What else? I know we had a good question. Well, I remember this was a question submitted on drawventure.com, and it was, how do you come up with your ideas for backgrounds? Especially in particular of the one Luigi party of him dancing that I just recently posted on my Instagram of your art. How did that piece come to life?
Okay. I was thinking about there like Mario always getting clothes and all the the thought process behind that. He's home alone and is partying and having about I wanted to look kind of old time. So I wanted to look like
I absolutely love the caption to it. When Mario's out working away, Luigi's partying with Turnip. I love it.
That's what I was thinking about it. Like, I just want to be like he's gonna be like to be like an old timey kind of old jukebox. So that was I don't know. Some of them are just like as simple as a color block or something. And other ones I'm thinking about and the environment. So if it's Sonic Green Hill in the background. It's the first stage. Fucking you put like area about that character, I guess.
Indeed. Sorry, we got a little blipped out there.
It's like doing a echo effect.
Oh. I apologize.
No, it's all
Viewers,
it's all right. Like that. But yeah, if I'm thinking about not just the colors, then I'll try to think about it in terms of like where this like the world that this character comes from, notable locations, so people can say like you know something that this character. It's the best way I can put it.
oh, I like it. I really do enjoy the graphic style of environments that you include in your illustrations, and I like how it's a unique take each time. Like as you mentioned, the Sonic and with the Mario both, even like your noir and your color. Those are I like how you explore all sorts of good stuff.
Yeah. Just try to I don't know. Try to keep it. Even when I draw something like more every time, because it's just fun. It's just fun to play with.
For sure. All right. Thank you all so much for the questions. I'm gonna move along to the next one. Let's see. I apologize for the echo. I'm not quite sure what's going on. Well, hopefully it kind of just come again. You want to try turning up your volume? Mute me, unmute. Let's see what we can do.
Is that any better?
Yeah.
Nope. Still an echo.
A little bit echo. Try again.
Hello?
Awesome. Okay, I think that worked. Okie dokie. I'm going to refresh the page. Thank you guys again for submitting these questions. They're super helpful. Let's see. How did you discover pinup art? This one's from Mr. Briggs. And how did you discover pinup art and what do you love about it? I'm not sure if that was a question for me.
That's for you.
Oh, I think I really don't see my art as pinup art. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. I like girls. That's all I can say. The woman body is a beautiful thing to draw. Let's see. And okay, this is from Julia B. And the question is, I have a hard time drawing facial features, eyes in particular. Do you have any suggestions or tips on how to learn and create your own style of face features? I've been trying to draw eyes and other features and look at other artist styles, and I'm stuck.
I would say, but this kind of ties back into the whole anatomy thing. But I would say, don't look at the artist like style thing. Can for a little like I guess ration maybe, but don't look at the tons of learning how to draw. People stylize things after they have an understanding of what that. So I know how to draw. I can stretch. It's easy for me to stretch. Exaggerate and still like what it look like. I have an understanding of how to what the thing goes eyes. So kind of like draw expressions and stuff. It's good to like take it from and just practice drawing as they are. I draw from different angles. Draw different.
Definitely do agree with that. It's, as you say, the artist is drawing from what he already knows in his interpretation of the actual eye. So it's just better to observe and not try to put a stylistic twist, but actually just study the form, study the anatomy and all that good stuff. Get the basics down first before trying to apply a style. Because I think the style just comes naturally over time.
When you know the rules, you can spread.
For sure. Indeed. So I'm going to do the last call for any more questions. You're more than welcome. Oh, wow. Let's see. This is from Queso. You have a very graphic style. Have you taken your art into programs like Illustrator and digitally and rendered them? I know you mentioned earlier that you were trying out digitally coloring for the graphic novel. Yeah.
I mean, right now I don't generally use like Photoshop or Illustrator to like create a piece per se. I'll do that when I get a Cintiq, because it's hard. I have a tablet, but it's hard for me to draw on a tablet and look at the screen because it's unnatural. I like to see what my hand is doing on the paper, and the Cintiq is doing that. So when I get a Cintiq, I'll probably do that more. But as of right now, I only really use it to clean up my drawings. Or like, let's say I make a mistake on something that I want to like, you know, maybe clean up in Photoshop. I'll do that. That's pretty much it. But like from the start, when I do a drawing, the goal is to make it look as clean and as like almost digital as possible, because that's like the look that I go for. So yeah, as of right now, I just kind of use Photoshop to clean up drawings, especially if I'm trying to use it to make like prints or something. But other than that, that's all. That's pretty much it.
Oh, super cool. How I've been wanting to ask you, how is your gallery showing?
Well, that's over now. When I had my show back in what month was that? April?
Was it really April? I really felt like it was last month.
It wasn't last month. It was. I want to say it was April or June. I can't even remember, to be honest with you. I can't remember which month it was. It was one of those 2 months though. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty good turnout. That was my first ever like show, and it was kind of nerve wracking because I had never done anything like that before. Always wondering like how people receive my work, you know, whether they think it's any good, stuff like that. Because it's one thing to have a following online, but it doesn't translate to like real life always like that. So I've been trying to slowly push myself out there. And like I would like to be like you know, at some point, like going to different cons and things like that. I think that
you should just come with me. Go to cons with me. They will love you.
Yes, I would love to.
The world needs to meet you in person.
And I think that is probably the next step for me, like doing something like that. I would like to, definitely.
Well, next time I'm going to Atlanta.
Probably be in contact about that. I know they just had Dragon Con, but
Dragon Con's insane.
I've never been to it.
Yeah. You're in the middle of all of it.
Right, I am. So it's something that I definitely take advantage of. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of slow. I'm always taking baby steps into things.
Yeah, but I think your artwork definitely does show the devotion and the, how is it? I've always been very willing to explore art, and I think that's a truly amazing and inspiring aspect of you.
Thank you.
Oh, we have a fun question, and it is, I noticed the Marvel poster on your wall, so I'd like to ask, who is your favorite Marvel character?
Okay. I'm an X-Men fan above anything else. And back in the day, I was a big fan of Gambit because he was a cool one. I've known about X-Men since before the animated series, but the animated series made him like, he was billed as the cool character. He got all the ladies and stuff. And I remember I had the game on Sega, and he was always the character I played because, you know, he fights with a deck of cards. So he's always been my favorite. He's not as significant in the comics these days, but if I'm gonna pick a single character overall, it's between him and maybe Nightcrawler. But yeah, I like that.
There's so many to choose from. It's hard to spread love.
There's so many characters.
Indeed. All right, I'm gonna do, one last check on YouTube for anything. Well, thank you all so much for saying. I'm so excited. Thank you for doing these, and that you guys all love our work. That really does mean a lot. And is there any, like, how would you say, parting words or like something, a word of advice that you want people to like think for the rest of their day? And like, you know, because you're just full of wisdom. It's just like a never ending well. It's just like, where does it all come from? Hello.
That's Mia.
Hello.
Oh my God, I hope you can see. Hi.
Hi. Sorry, when the door opened, I thought it was this door opening.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Well, this is my girlfriend, Mia.
Hi, cutie.
Oh.
But I guess in terms of parting words, I would say just be consistent about your work. I would say work on it as much as possible, especially if you're trying to be taken serious. If you're just starting out and you want your art to be taken serious, I would say work on your art as frequently as possible. Make time for it every day because that's the only way that you can get better. And you know, remember to take a break. Don't overexert yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself because you know everybody improves at their own pace. And I guess that's it. You know, follow us, follow other artists like us because we try to keep the inspiration coming. Try to keep people inspired and motivated. And I mean, in the future, I will do more like walkthroughs and I guess video tutorials and things like that because I know that always helps people out. So yeah, that's what I will give you for your parting words.
I think it's perfect. You know, just draw every day. Give your art the attention that it deserves, and just put the effort into it. Like, there's no tricks, there's no cheats in art. You just have to put the time into art. So yes, I want to say thank you so much, everyone, for being here today, and a huge thank you to Nuri for taking the time out of your Saturday to share with us like so many good tips. Like you're so down to earth, and you just remind us that the simple things in art that we need to do, and not to overcomplicate it, and just really do. Just keep on going. I love it. Thank you so much, and for everyone, definitely do check out Nuri on Instagram, Tumblr, and Twitter as ActionHankBeard, and on Periscope as ActionHank. And he does have a super awesome shop that he just released new prints, so definitely do check it out as nuridurr.bartel.com. There will be some links in the notes, but yeah, feel free to contact us on Instagram or any good stuff. If you are participating in Drawventure today, I'll absolutely love to see your artwork via the Drawventure tag. And in case you haven't seen my profile yet on Instagram, I'm currently doing a Draw Me Tori, which is your chance that you can submit for a chance for me to draw you. There you go. Got that right. But yes, my personal goal for Drawventure is to draw more beautiful shapes and explore different facial structures and all that good stuff. And I need your help to make that happen because I'd rather draw someone I know rather than just look up something random. And plus, I want to give my love back to you guys. But yeah, there's more information about that on my Instagram. And thank you again. Thank you, Nuri.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Peace.
See ya.